Reading and reviewing indie books has become a passion of mine over many years and has helped me get through the many challenges that life can present. To me, there is nothing better than the escapism, the immersion, and even the magic that reading can be. As an indie author myself, I know the challenges and difficulties of finding book reviews, and so just like my dedication to writing, here I am doing my best to support words by fellow authors. Welcome to Talking Indie Books with Lee Hall, an opportunity for me to showcase some wonderful indie books I've been reading. The road to reviewing indie books continues for me, and for this episode I shall be covering one of my most recent reads, which is in the genre of horror. Now, in recent times, and because I'm pretty familiar with the fantastic writing community that can be found on Twitter, there is a particular book that is being talked about quite a lot within the community, and for very good reason, because it's a great read, and of course, I'm talking about The Clatterman by Janelle Schiecke. This was my third Janelle Schiecke experience, and it certainly lived up to the rest of the books in this author's backlist. If you are a fan of horror that is well executed and contains some great description, along with some homage to the wider genre, then The Clatterman is for you. In fact, I would even say that the way this book has been written really oozes a level of passion that Janelle has for the genre, and that is both unique and also kind of infectious because it resonated into a great reading experience. The Clatterman is a cinematic fusion of horror and urban legend. We are introduced to a group of friends with plans for a getaway at a remote cabin, which already appeals to me in terms of concept. And on this getaway, the story of the Clatterman is told around the campfire. Summoning this supernatural force with a tragic backstory will end in a rather gruesome way. And so that's what the kind of folklore and urban legend suggests. And that is perhaps what happens. Of course, I'm not really a big fan of spoilers in review, so I won't really delve into what happens. I will leave out the specifics, but this was yet another great read by Schiecke. And again, this one very much felt like the type of story I would seek out if it were a horror film. And so, to quote my recent written review, the tale of the Clatterman fits very well into the realms or even lore of classic horror, and would sit comfortably next to the likes of Freddy Krueger and even Jason Voorhees. But his trademark hook and backstory give him little more depth. This isn't just a ruthless killer, but once a person with human origins, trying to find some level of resolution. Those that do summon him are destined for a gruesome end, and this page-turning story is definitely a Read of the Year candidate for me. My favourite quote from The Clatterman was this: "That's the thing about fear. When you're in its grasp, it can be suffocating. And at this very moment, hope had dwindled to a mere speck. A faint glimmer that there could be a way out of this nightmare still shone. But barely. They'd have to fight tooth and nail." Now, there were several other quotes from The Clatterman which I would consider my favourite also, and you can find a few more via my written review, which you'll find linked below. And so, my rating for The Clatterman was 5 stars. That wraps up this episode of Talking Indie Books with Lee Hall. Indie authors are very much like small businesses and rely on the kind support of others to find more readers, so any support you can give an indie author will be very much appreciated. I'd like to thank you for joining me on this journey, and of course, if you're reading something right now, remember to leave a review. Peace out, rock and roll, and reading indie books.